in Oslo, Norway.
We just finished an epic 100-day European adventure where we traveled by plane, train, and automobile. But more specifically, we took 14 budget flights in 3 months.
Today we're taking you with us from Lisbon to London to Oslo for our last budget flights of the trip. And along the way, we're going to share our top tips for stress-free budget travel. From booking to check-in to seats to luggage, we have some super secret tips you won't see anywhere else.
So let's rewind to yesterday to Lisbon, Portugal to see how we got here.
Our first tip takes you to your computer and booking. Make sure you do your research.
In the last 100 days, our cheapest flight was $12 and our most expensive was $50.
We book everything one way. With budget airlines, booking round trip doesn't save you money. These flights can be so cheap, it's hard to remember to do your research. We learned quickly that budget airlines don't always fly into the same airport that major airlines do. And this can be a big factor in costing you money when you're taking another metro, bus, or train when you get to your destination.
When we booked our flight to Brussels, we actually realized that we booked our flight to Charleroi, which is about an hour away from the city center.
So that cost us an additional $22 and an extra hour and a half of trouble, which we could have just booked with a major airline, saved the time and the effort. So make sure you do your research.
When you book your budget airline ticket, if you book the basic bare minimum, that comes with nothing.
No seats, no bags, no overhead bin space, no peanuts, not even water.
Nothing.
Our first flight of the day is from Lisbon to London, and when we get there, we'll share a tip with you on how to get a better seat without spending any extra money.
Up next, let's talk about seats. Should you buy them? When you check in the day before your flight, you'll randomly be assigned a seat unless you've paid for one in advance. In the 7 Ryanair flights that we've taken this trip, we have never sat together unless we purchased it.
If you've followed us for a while, you know that we spent 100 days living in our Prius, so sitting apart on the airplane doesn't really bother us that much. If sitting together is mandatory for you, you can buy tickets up to a day before, and they usually range between $6 to $24. One last thing about seats is it's not usually worth it to purchase the larger seats because there's only an inch or two difference. I'm 6'3" and it's not a big deal.
The only extra premium seats that are actually worth the money are the exit row and the bulkhead. Those are the only seats with the extended legroom and worth the extra upcharge.
This is where we say goodbye.
Brandon's priority this flight.
Don't forget to store your passport immediately after showing it.
We do book seats together on anything overseas when a meal is served so that we can share, or on a red eye. For us, it's worth the extra money to sit together on these longer flights, and we usually splurge and get the exit row. But anything under 5 hours, we typically just get a random assignment and save the extra money.
The aisle seat has the least amount of under-seat storage, like legroom in front of you. So if you are going to purchase a seat, sometimes it's worth it to get the window instead of the aisle. Also, we've flown November, December, and January, and these flights have been full. So there's no booking the window and the aisle and hoping for the middle seat to be empty trick available here.
Ryanair does have a lot of new, unfrequent travelers. So if you do try to do that window aisle seat, with the middle one empty, and there is someone and you want to trade, sometimes you're stuck trying to change seats with them and trying to talk to them in French or German or Arabic, and just save yourself the hassle, book 2 seats together.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Flight number 1, that's a wrap.
This next one might not apply to everyone, but I think it's important to point out Brandon's mom's in a wheelchair, and Brandon sometimes has a hard time walking with his psoriatic arthritis. On these budget airlines, a lot of times you are taking air stairs or no jet bridge or a bus to get to your plane. So it's just something to keep in mind if you do have limited mobility.
We have made it to our least favorite airport, London Stansted.
Tip number 3, checking in. Always check in online.
Now that we were in a lounge and we have coffee, we can get to our next point, which is if you're traveling budget airlines, always make sure to check in online. You can usually check in up to 24 hours before. Sometimes they'll charge you up to $20 just to print your boarding pass. So go online, check in, and then print that stuff.
Aside from printing, most times you are able to check in through the Airlines app and receive your boarding pass digitally. However, there are exceptions to this rule.
It is so important to read the directions every time you check in online because it's different for every airport. Some don't have digital scan, so you have to print it at home.
With an American passport, we almost always get an error message because our passports need to be cleared with an actual employee. In this instance, we simply take a screenshot of this page and are not charged to speak with an agent.
If for whatever reason you're unable to print a boarding pass, just take that screenshot, but you will not have to wait in the regular line. There's usually an express line where you can go and just walk right up to the front and get your actual boarding pass printed there for you. And then you'll have to go into the other line to get your baggage checked if you are checking a bag.
This usually happens when you need extra security. Our US passports don't have the digital same thing as the EU passports, so we just head to the customer service counter, and since we're not checking bags, we just get our boarding passes right there and head straight to the departures.
And now for the moment you've all been waiting for. Alyssa is going to give you the super secret tip on how to get an upgraded seat without spending any extra money.
Okay, wait to check in. Yes, just wait to check in. Everyone is so eager to check in at the 24-hour mark. Typically, this is because we're conditioned with budget airlines to check in at 24 hours so you get a better boarding group. But I've been experimenting with this, and our first 2 flights, we checked in at the 24-hour mark. We both got middle seats. One flight I forgot to check in until 4 hours before departure, and we both got window seats. When you check in 24 hours in advance, you're given a middle seat in hopes that you upgrade and pay extra. You can upgrade your flight until 6 hours before. I've been experimenting with this the last few flights, and every single time that we've checked in under 6 hours before departure, we've gotten a window or an aisle. Brandon today checked in and he got a middle. He was a little disappointed when we got on the plane. He was in the exit row.
You got the exit row?
Yeah,
Score, dude.
So no matter what, if you check in closer to departure time, you're gonna get a better seat. We've gotten to the topic, number 1 concern when riding a budget airline: luggage. We only carry backpacks, so we cannot speak to checked bags, roller bags, suitcases, anything like that. So this is going to cover what we know about carrying on a small bag.
Ryanair baggage policy states that all non-priority passengers are entitled to 1 small bag, which is about the size of a large purse. Now, priority passengers are entitled 1 10-kilogram bag in addition to their small bag.
They also get priority boarding, so first shot at the overhead bin space when you get on the plane.
Most of the time they're pretty lenient with the small bag. Alyssa's bag actually won't fit in the bin because it's pretty stuffed full.
But I usually get away with the pass because I am carrying it and it looks small.
You're more likely to get away with a backpack than you are a roller bag when it comes to the size.
Definitely.
In the event that they do test your bag in the cubby, it's best to leave a jacket or a laptop or something that you can kind of pull out really quickly. As long as you make a concerted effort to make it fit into the box, they'll usually allow it.
We have been paying for Brandon's bag, which is usually about $15 per flight, sometimes more, sometimes less. But let me tell you, not having the stress of them sizing your bag at the gate is like such a relief. And if you don't pay for it ahead of time, it's $60 when you get to the gate. So it's definitely worth booking ahead of time. We also have noticed that if you do book that priority ticket, they tend to be really lenient with whatever you're carrying. Like you could carry 3 shopping bags, a tote bag, a backpack, and a roller bag. As long as you paid that $15, they don't really care what you're bringing on. The next few things are going to be things that don't count towards your baggage allotment. However, you can kind of sneak them on board.
We always travel with 2 jackets because we're on a winter trip currently. We look kind of ridiculous sometimes because we'll be so puffy, but it's 2 things
That don't count towards your bag size.
So shoes. We traveled all winter with big snow boots, and we would just tie them by the laces, toss them around our arm, toss them over our backpack, and they never once said anything about that. We currently do not have a really large camera, but you can definitely get away if you have like a DSLR. Use the strap, keep it around your neck. They won't count that towards any of your baggage.
Next up, my fanny pack. I've worn this around my waist every single flight and they've not said anything. I usually keep our passports, headphones, and our Wi-Fi in it. I have noticed if you are wearing a purse over your shoulder, even if it's the same size as this, they're a bit more strict on it and they want you to put it in your larger bag.
All in all, we say just to pay for the extra bag.
The more that we try to sneak by, the higher the prices are gonna go, and it's just gonna ruin it for all the real budget travelers out there.
Plus, you're adding stress to an already stressful situation.
Just buy the bag. When booking the extra carry-on, The website will book everyone in your party the same upgrade. So they'll book me and Brandon with the added bag, which we only need one. So the way to get around this is to book 2 separate tickets. So we have 2 different confirmation codes and 2 separate bookings. A tip from a former flight attendant: don't be afraid to move people's bags in the overhead bins. A lot of people don't know how to utilize the overhead bin space properly. Roller bags go in wheels out, facing the aisle, and they go in straight. If you have a backpack, turn it horizontal so you can stack 3 bags in at once. Also, hold onto your jackets until everyone is on the plane and all the luggage is put away. Then you can jam your jacket in between all of the bags wherever there's space.
Last flight of the day. Bittersweet moment, our last Ryanair flight of the trip. We have officially made it to Oslo, another successful Ryanair on-time flight. Yo, this train is lit. This was only $3.50 per person.
This train is so nice.
That's the train we just got on. Look at these. That's why it only took 6 minutes. We have made it to our Airbnb in Oslo.
What a freaking travel day.
Seriously.
We know there's a lot of videos out there on budget airlines. We hope that we brought some new knowledge to you to better prepare you for your flights. When you know what you're paying for, it can take the stress out of it and make the flight a lot easier. Without Ryanair's $12 flights, our trip might not have been possible, and we are so grateful for the memories and adventures we had these last 100 days. But don't worry, the travel's not over yet. The next 50 days sees us headed to Mexico for more adventure and more food. Be sure to subscribe, you don't want to miss it. We just weighed our bags for the first time, and mine weighs 9 kilograms and Brandon
She's gonna call me little bitch boy.
this only weighs 8.4. Little bitch. How do you feel about that?
Inferior. Sad. Soft.
Also, we have no idea what that means in pounds. Literally 0 idea what that means, except for that mine's heavier. There's literally no way for them to print a boarding pass, so we got a handwritten boarding pass.
How crazy is that? I've never seen that before. That's insane.
So weird. And it just says my first name. I feel like it's freaking 1997 right now.